Oh, and down goes the coffee curtain. Going once, going twice. My name is Margie Bolak, and I'm your service leader today. Welcome to the University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. It's time to silence your devices, please. And I need to point out the exits. There's one behind you, and there's one to your left. And then there's... The door is open. We don't usually do that one. We'll get that one straightened out exactly which ones we do. Okay. Let's get started with any committee moments we might have. Any committee heads that might have something to share.
Good morning, Kelly Buchanan with the Marketing Committee. Just a friendly reminder that we do have our Pride event, the Pride Parade. It's going to be on Saturday, October the 19th. The great news is we have about 32 participants that have signed up so far to attend in a variety of different capacities. So thank you so much for taking the time to sign up. If you haven't signed up to join us at the Pride Parade, please let me know after service, and I'll be more than happy to include you. Second announcement is that we do have a tie-dye party here on Friday, October the 11th. What that really is that we have special shirts made for the parade, and you can bring that shirt. You'll pick up that shirt here, because if you ordered it, you know what I'm talking about. You've ordered your shirt, you come to the party, you pick up your shirt, and we're going to tie-dye them here, and some other food and fun and drinks and other things going on. If you didn't order a shirt, please bring your own shirt. You know, you can bring a white shirt or a handkerchief or socks, whatever, and we can tie-dye those too. So anyhow, lots of things going on for Pride. Any questions, come and see me.
I'm Janet with Programs. I'm happy to announce that today after service, we're going to have our first actual meeting of New Inquiring Minds, a discussion group. You're all invited. It's going to be a modified open mic session. Also, at our organizational meeting, we decided we're going to meet twice a month going forward. At least for a while, we might reconsider and add Sundays. And we're going to meet the first and third Sundays. The first Sunday after the service. Yes, the first Sunday before the service and the third Sunday after the service. And the way to remember that, which I just screwed up, is the first Sunday comes first, and the third coming doesn't come third, but it comes after. So first Sunday comes first. Okay, there you go.
Okay, thank you. Anne here representing sort of hospitality and the men's group. We will be having Oktoberfest potluck. That's 2 weeks from today. So come dressed in your traditional garb. Carl, and I think Carl is collecting, if you don't want to bring a dish, but he's collecting some money for things to grill outside. We'll have sausages, but if you're not doing that, then, or if you want something that's not sausagey, please bring like German potato salad or German salads or any kind of food. But just putting it in your minds that Oktoberfest potluck is 2 weeks from today. Sauerkraut, that's right. You can do a lot with sauerkraut.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Miguel Rodriguez from Social Action Committee. Have a little small story here. See if this sounds kind of familiar to you. For some months, I have traveled and traversed the border in every sense of the word. I have seen, investigated, and inquired about the needs of the population. To the Dominicans who were complaining of the depredations by Haitians living among them, thefts of cattle, provisions, fruits, etc., were thus prevented from enjoying in peace the products of their labor. Funny, No dogs or cats mentioned there. But you just make it up, right? Cattle, fruits. I have responded, says the president. I have responded, I will fix this. And we have already begun to remedy the situation. 300 Haitians are now dead in Banica. The remedy will continue. By the end of the Parsley massacre, between 17 to 35,000 Haitians were slaughtered. And because there are children here, I won't go into the details of how they were killed, but it was by many, many ways, horrible ways. So, and it doesn't end there, because this was our people against, which my family's Dominican, our people against the Haitians. But it doesn't end there, because my people then eventually were hunted down. I have uncles who were hunted by the secret police and had to escape to the United States. I am here as a result of that dictatorship. My family left the country because of that. So, words of warning of what words can do also, how they can damage a society. And so, as a member of SAC, Social Action Committee, we're not up here, but we do have a meeting today at noon through the Zoom. And if you're interested, just see me. I'll be at the back, and I'll give you the information, because we're not meeting inside the building today. We're meeting on Zoom. So at 12, thank you. The time is at around noon, and we talk about these issues, bring them up, and we're going to talk about our crucial election and how we can prepare for voting and all that as well. So everyone is more than welcome to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. I missed a point. If you're feeling peaked, feverish, you have red spots, stay home. We'll see you when you feel better. Enjoy the service on YouTube. And those of you that do attend online, we are so glad to have you with us. If you do not get notable news, go onto our website, uuuf.org, and you'll find a sign-up sheet there where you can get our weekly newsletter. My opening words today are, the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. His eyes are closed. Who do you think? Anybody have a guess as to who said that? Big bushy mustache. Yes. Albert Einstein, yeah. Our opening music is going to be hymn 188, led by Janet. Come, come, whoever you are. Please rise if you are able.
Led by me and my husband, Gary. This is a round we have sung before, and as we have done before, we're going to sing the first verse 3 once together, and then we're going to split into parts, and this part will start first, this side of the room, and Gary will come in later, a little later, with the other part. And then when we sing the round part, when we're in parts, we do it twice. So when you get to the end, we're singing rounds, just loop back to the beginning, but hang on a second. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover I'm leaving, as is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, wherever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover I'm leaving, as is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
Come yet again, come.
I love it when you two lead rounds. It's fun. Yeah. Today our chalice lighter is Eva. Eva goes by she and her, and she is 3 years old. And her joy is she got to have ice cream yesterday. Let's say together, truth and the warmth of love we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And now we state our affirmation, a weekly reminder to us as why we are here and what brings us together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. And we have a nice crowd today. A special welcome to any visitors. We're happy you decided to join us. And if this is your first or second time here, come several times because every service is different. It's always a surprise. Reverend Kathy Schmitz speaks to us once a month, I believe. And apart from that, we have speakers from academia, from the community, all kinds of interesting topics we are covered. Now it's time to turn to a neighbor and say hi, especially one you might not have spoken much to. All right, ding-a-ling-a-ling again. We'll have time for fun talk after services with coffee and whatever snacks we have. Now it's time for joys and concerns. This is a time we get up and share the burdens or joys that weigh upon our hearts. Just remember, steer clear of politics. And remember, this will be on YouTube for everyone to see. Well, hello, Chase.
Hello. I have a joy today. I went in the pool.
Good, that is joyful. Me too.
Hi, David McElroy. I'm actually concerns and joy with my wife Marilyn. She went to the ankle doctor on last week and got a shot. And he keeps saying that it's probably going to need some surgery, but we're not sure. She felt great for her show, which is still running through next week. The Odd Couple out at Ice House. And she was feeling great, and then she ran to make a change and screwed it up again. So if you would, send her some good ankle vibes.
Hi. I have a joy that Leanne over here came over yesterday to babysit when our babysitter just said, I can't come. So we still got to go out. It was great. Thank you, Leanne.
There you go. No, I'm just joking, of course, but that was a real pleasure for me, and had a realization. We've talked and we've been friendly, but when you do something for somebody, you really get to know them. And Chase is just a wonderful little boy. He's so sweet, and I had a wonderful time, and I'm so glad that I was able to do that.
My school does a field trip for marine biology students to Pigeon Keys, and I'm going.
I have a joy that my band and I had the very first competition of the season yesterday, and we scored really high.
My joy is the baby shower.
Come over here so we can see you. There we go.
My joy is that yesterday I go to an art museum and I copy the pictures and it was fun.
So I have a couple of joys. Well, of big joys, we got back from a big 3.5-week adventure in Europe last weekend. You could see us. We were here, but we were very jet lagged. So it was an amazing trip, celebrating big birthdays this year. I have a couple of concerns I just wanted to bring up. Rosandra Montequin, who used to be a member here, asked me to share that, ask for your kind thoughts for her Aunt Judy. She has COPD and other illnesses that are making it difficult for her to breathe, so she's not doing too well. And her friend Lee has MS, and it's deteriorating as well. So she just asked for your kind words. Also, Michael Richards, I've just been texting with him this week. He's having some heart issues. I also woke up this morning without a voice. So please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And then from John and Happy Amin, they wanted to share their concerns about all the people affected by Hurricane Helene in Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. They have family and friends there, and they're completely stunned by the aftermath. I was in the grocery store Friday, I guess it was, and there was a woman in line, and we would just chat. I just kind of chat with anybody, and I said, "How's it going?" And she said, "My daughter's in North Carolina, but she has no cell service and no electricity, so I don't even know if she's okay." And she was just, really worried. So please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Oh yeah, it's my birthday today.
Happy birthday, Anne. Yeah, thank you. Let's have a moment of silence and maybe simultaneously admire these. We looked this up. Peter and Paula brought these beautiful flowers, Brazilian red cloak flowers. Anyway, maybe just take a gaze at them while we think about the joys and concerns that were shared and kept silent also. It's time for all ages with James.
Hello, everyone. I have yet again a story that I'd like to invite people to come up and help act out with me.
Yes.
Awesome. Anyone else want to join? There we go. Okay, awesome. So, as usual, a quick moment to deliberate with my actor. We're all set. Okay, so here, I'm going to go a little over here and give them the stage. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a large and mighty bear in a beautiful cave. Now, one day, a terrible storm blew in, with winds so strong they snapped trees, and so much rain it caused the valleys to flood. Animals everywhere scurried about looking for shelter from this mighty storm. Now, it just so happened that there was a little family of mice fleeing from the storm who came across the bear's cave. "Oh, mighty bear," said two of the mice, "won't you let us stay in your cave until the storm passes? We don't take up much room." "Why, of course," said the bear. "Stay as long as you need." And so the little family of mice spent the whole storm safe and dry in the bear's cave as the winds and rain whipped about outside. When morning came, the storm was gone, and the little family of mice thanked the bear for letting them stay. "Perhaps one day we will return the favor," said the little mice who had first asked the bear if they could stay. The bear didn't really think this was likely, as the mice were so small and the bear was so big and mighty, but the bear simply said, "Perhaps," and wished the mice well on their journey home. Many months later, the bear was out and about looking for food when all of a sudden a great net swooped up around it and pulled it up into the air. The bear was trapped. No matter how hard it struggled, it couldn't get free. Eventually, the bear began to despair of ever getting out of the net. Just then, the bear heard a squeaky little voice from the forest floor below. "Is that you, mighty bear?" asked the voice. "It's us, the little mice. What has happened?" "I'm trapped in this net," said the bear, "and I'm afraid I will never get free." "Not to worry," said the mice. "We can help." And with that, the mice scurried up to the net and began chewing at the ropes that it was made of. After a while, the bear was free. "Oh, thank you so much," said the bear. "You're very welcome," said the mice. "After all, you helped my family and us when we were in need. We're very happy to help you in turn." And with that, both the bear and the mice lived happily ever after. Thank you so much, my wonderful actors. And so now I would like to go ahead and invite people to raise their hand if they have an idea of some sort of lesson that you might be able to take from this story. There we go.
I would say that the lesson is if, such that people are kind, if you're doing something good for somebody, I mean, obviously, do it because it's the right thing to do, but if you do it, then you will get help in turn at some point. There's also, I could see community building being something in the story. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. Oh, here we go.
One of my teachers has a saying, "If you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours."
There we go. Or chew nets for you. One of the two.
Size doesn't matter when it comes to kindness.
Very nice. Thank you. Oh, we got another hand over here.
Mice can also help.
That is very good. Yes. Oh, here we go.
Kindness is something that we do not with expectation that someone will be kind to us later, but just because we want to be kind.
Thank you. Here we go.
Not a good idea to judge anybody in advance.
That's another great lesson from it. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you guys all so much. And I hope you have a wonderful Sunday and a wonderful week and can all fill it with acts of kindness just like the mice and the bear.
Thank you, James. It's basket passing time. And we are sharing 40% of what we collect with SALT. SALT stands for Service and Love Together. It's a young adult-led nonprofit organization that serves the homeless population in Orlando and Central Florida. They provide showers, clothing, haircuts, and other forms of assistance to help our homebound friends get off the street and back on their feet. And while the basket is being passed, we will enjoy Gary leading us in hymn number 134.
Right, hymn 134. Janet will play a short introduction. Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes with love or hate we make a bridge or wall. Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The way we spend, the way we share, who are the rich or poor, ascend or fall. Our world is one world, just like a ship that bears us all, whose fear and greed make any whole, but where our hearts can hear a different call.
Thank you, Gary. It's time to sing out the kids. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. Today is one of those great days where we have a member of our community, a renowned member. We are lucky enough to have snagged and gotten to him to come speak to us. Dr. Joel Hunter is the chair of Central Florida Pledge and pastor of Community Benefit at Action Church, a multi-site congregation based in Winter Park, and his 1-minute daily devotionals can be heard worldwide on Z88 Radio. He's the chairman of the Central Florida Pledge Campaign, a call to action for residents of Central Florida who are tired of hateful discourse and want to create a safe and inclusive community for all. The pledge asks residents to commit to treating all people with kindness and respect, especially those with whom they disagree. He is I'm just thinking what a challenge that is, the challenge that we all try to meet and accomplish. Dr. Hunter is a nationally and internationally known advocate for the poor, the marginalized, and those dealing with disabilities. He served a 2-year term as the chairman of Central Florida's Commission on Homelessness, and after 32 years as the senior pastor of Northland Church's congregation of 20,000, he spent 5 years leading a nonprofit in networking with churches and local charities to locate available resources and benefit the struggling in our community. Orlando Magazine highlighted his efforts, naming him as the #1 most powerful voice for philanthropy and community engagement, and listed him among Orlando's 50 most powerful 6 years in a row. Welcome, Dr. Hunter.
Those introductions always don't get your hopes up. I'm not nearly as impressive as whoever wrote that would say that I am. It's great to be here again. The last time I was here was the launching of that community resource network that was mentioned, and we did some great work for 5 years, especially for the homeless and the marginally precariously housed. So now it's a kind of a new effort. I'm here with my wife of 52 years and, not incidentally, a former marine biology teacher. That was mentioned this morning. So she's way more impressive. So I'm going to have some fun with this. Patrick's going to run some slides today just to kind of keep us moving. But I want to tell you about this effort that's not even a year old yet, but that's really trying to actionalize or mobilize the whole loving your neighbor concept. And so basically the Central Florida Pledge is a call for residents who are tired of hateful discourse and want to create a safe and inclusive community for all. That describes this congregation to a T. I read your values. It's like I'm speaking to the choir. I'm not even sure why I'm necessary, but I want to get you as active participants, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. By the way, before I forget it, in that very unimpressive cardboard box over there, there are pledge. If you try to explain the Central Florida Pledge to somebody, it's just like a postcard that explains it. So you don't even have to remember it. You can just do that. And if you sign up to be a part of our network, take a pen. They all say the same thing: founder. If you take a pen, you're a founder, just like I am. All right. So we're all in this together. So basically, the pledge asks residents to treating all people with kindness and respect, especially those with whom we disagree. This has never been more important than in this culture of accusation and animosity and maliciousness and so on and so forth. So this is just really, really timely for where we are in our culture. And the culture of our country, and wanting to build a community that's very different. Patrick, just show the next slide, would you? Okay, listen to this video. He's going to cue it up for us. And it's just like a minute and a half, but it kind of gives you an idea. This was the launch at Dr. Phillips' Center in March. That's how old we are. It's the beginning of March.
We're the Sunshine State. It's kind of dark around here right now.
Hate and anti-Semitism and all different forms of hate are very rampant in the U.S. and all around the world.
I was driving in Central Florida and I saw neo-Nazis protesting on the corner of the street, waving flags.
My own wife is having her hijab pulled on or tugged on, her veil or scarf that she wears on her head. Myself and my parents even being told to go back home. I was born in Maryland. This is home.
I get threatening phone calls. I get hate phone calls directed against Jews, directed against the Jewish community. It has been constant and it's gotten worse.
We do live in the United States of America. That is one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So in the words of Dr. King, injustice allowed to exist anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Central Florida has always been a place where the community has come together despite its differences. The pledge is reaffirming our community's commitment that no matter what your background, what your beliefs are, that we as a community thrive because we believe in diversity.
I signed the pledge because I think as a community, we all need to stand against hatred. We need to be united here in Orlando.
My hope for Florida's future is that the rest of the state emulates what we have going on here in Orlando. I signed the pledge because I want to remind everybody that Orlando is a city that is welcoming, inclusive, and compassionate to all of our residents.
Just because we're different doesn't mean that we have to hate one another. We should be able to love one another for our differences.
My real hope for the future is that people will understand that
we're all made in the image and likeness of God, and it's a real gift that we have been given.
Signing is just one of the many first steps. We can all sign the pledge and the next thing, not really do anything about it. But I really hope that we can have that dialogue and have that understanding.
It's hard to know how to solve those big problems in the world. Taking a pledge is an opportunity to take a practical first step. It's an opportunity to be connected with other people who want to do the same thing.
If we can walk hand in hand, and if we can learn to love each other, we can create a better future together.
So that was at the beginning of our launch in early March, I think it was, or late February, I can't remember. But we're just a brand new organization. The first thing we did, let me give you some history to this. After the horrible attacks of October 7th, and then the equally horrible response that's been ongoing, Allen Ginsberg, who is a local Jewish philanthropist, came to me and he said, I hear these declarations from an institution here, an institution there. What we need is a regional response. We need to change the character of our entire region of Central Florida. And so on 2 days' notice, and he asked if I would help organize that. I said I would love to. This is my DNA. I was talking with Kathy earlier this morning. I started out in the civil rights movement back in 1966. And so I've always had this. And by the way, Kathy and I grew up 12 miles apart from each other. It's just wonderful to meet a neighbor after all these years. But so I've always had this heart, as many of you do, for those who have been left out, for those who have been excluded. And so taking that principle forward, Ginsberg said, I obviously want to address the rise in anti-Semitism, but I don't just want to address that. I want all groups who are being harassed or threatened to know that we have their back. And so what we did was we got, on 2 days' notice, we got 50 leaders who are recognized and respected in Central Florida to come to a breakfast at the Alfond Inn in Winter Park. And we said, basically, is this a good idea? Are you guys in? And that leadership, if you go on the website, get a card, you go on the website, you'll see the endorsers of these. They are from every sector of our community. They are the mayors, they are the police, the sheriffs, they are the college presidents, they are the leaders of healthcare, they are faith organizations, they're nonprofits, they're business, they're arts and entertainment, every sector. And so basically we said, is this a good idea or is this just a knee-jerk response? They said, no, we believe this is a good idea. 2 weeks later, we gathered 100 people in that room, again, from every sector of the community. And we acknowledge this. We can't affect what's going on in the Middle East, but we can certainly build the kind of community in Central Florida that we want for our children and our grandchildren, and we want for ourselves. And so what we did was, and this is a Central Florida originated pledge, we said, if we were to make a pledge where people could sign up to be personally committed to this, what are the components you think would be important in that pledge? And we handed out paper and everybody wrote them down. So what we came up with is literally from the community. This is the community's voice. This is not something that somebody wrote and asked other people to sign up. No, this is y'all. Y'all did this, okay? And so we want to be a community-driven initiative to combat anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and all forms of hate and discrimination. You know the background we have traditionally in racism in this area, the LGBTQ plus discrimination, especially since or realized at the Pulse massacre. So what's the opposite of that? It's a community where everybody feels safe and respected, regardless of their faith or race or gender or ethnicity, culture, beliefs, or however they identify. The values are inclusion and respect and education. I'll get to that in just a second, and safety. So what is important? Go to the next slide, Patrick. Okay, this is the pledge itself. While this is up, let me just take a moment here and tell you the kind of the two components of what we're doing here. One is a very personal commitment that says, I know we got problems. I'm not going to be part of the problem. I'm not going to add to the problem. I'm going to treat everyone with respect, especially those with whom I disagree. Now, I imagine in this crowd, it might be somebody who wanders in with a red baseball cap. But there are other crowds, it'd be, you all wander in, you know? And the point is, as we learned in Germany and other places, you know, unless we protect those groups that are being attacked, we'll be next. Because they'll come after us. And as the story said this morning, part of the reason that we do this is because those groups, especially those groups that are vulnerable, are the very groups that we need to make our community whole. Never underestimate the strength of weakness. It is absolutely a resource. We had such a in my former church, we had such a great ministry with people that are differently abled, and people thought, well, that's great. No, we needed them in our congregation, not only to teach us how to love, but to teach us how to recognize the capability and the giftedness of every individual. And so if somebody is being obnoxious, you just got to look harder for it, because there's a person of worth in there. Jesus taught us this, not when he said love your neighbors, but when he said love your enemies. And so it's a principle that's very difficult, and it's a maturing process, spiritually speaking. I will refrain from inflammatory words and actions. This means even when you're yelling at your TV and you're because if you do it in your house, it'll get out. And actively support those who are being attacked. Now, let me tell you a different resource than has ever been built in this community. This is brand new, and this is why we need you to sign up. And by the way, if you have an iPhone, you can go to the App Store and download Pledge Central. Pledge Central. And that will do two things. First of all, it will put you on alert for any incidents that are happening in our community when they happen. So that you, in an instant, so that you will know. And second of all, it will invite you into a response that is helpful, not a counter demonstration. That makes our law enforcement very nervous. And it just hypes up the heat and the rhetoric. But there are ways that we can stand with those groups so that they know they're not alone. Groups that are being attacked, it feels terribly isolating. And you just begin to believe, well, is everybody against us? And so if a community surrounds them that are not of that community. I was talking with Hannah El Jalad, a Palestinian student who's at UCF, and I was talking to her about this, and I said, Hannah, and not uncharacteristically, one of our state representatives said something that just was completely ridiculous. And I said, Hannah, it's one thing if Palestinians object to that. It's another thing if all of Central Florida objects to that, if we all stand together, if old white conservative guys like me are part of your voice. And so this is really important. This is why we all need to be involved. So if you download that app, or you sign on, we'll do it either way. You sign on electronically at the centralfloridapledge.com. What you will have is a registration in, our country got started by the Minutemen, people who were ready, they were on call to respond to any kind of attack. And you'll become a part. I guess you could do this politically by saying you'll become a part of a Central Florida NATO. If one group is attacked, we're all in. And so that's never happened before with a community response. We have wonderful response from law enforcement. We have wonderful response from the legally, this is what could happen. But we've never had a group that said, contact me. I want to do something constructive to love those who are being attacked. Nor have we ever had an entire group that says, when they sign on, train me. We've not been trained in how to love our neighbor. We've got a great instinct, we've got a great inclination toward loving our neighbor. But most of us don't know what a hate incident versus a hate crime versus free speech and so on and so forth. So when we get to the fourth one about this, the third one, if you call, this is kind of a triage call. This goes to a person that can gauge the call. Some people, there's a law enforcement involvement that it needs to immediately go to. Some people just are afraid, and so they'll call, and it needs to go to more of a mental health or a counselor type person. It just kind of hangs with them and talks it through with them because they need a level of processing personally. But it will also come to us. But this last one, I will educate myself about anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, racism, homophobia, and all forms of discrimination, and help others in my circle of influence to do the same. What was a wonderful surprise is that about 3 months into this, we got a call from the U.S. Attorney, Middle District of Florida, Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney Roger Handberg, and he said, and this, by the way, Central Florida has the second largest district in all the United States of the U.S. attorneys. It covers 35 counties, and I forget how many millions of people. But he said, we have this great training that we do, only we have no way to get it into the community. He said, you're a community network. And by the way, I keep interrupting myself here. We're not an organization. We don't need your money. We are a group that is formed to network with other organizations that actually do this work at a grassroots level. And so we're at Rotary clubs, and I was just at Westminster Towers last, or whatever it is, the old folks home. I was afraid when I tried to leave they'd keep me, but what we're doing now is we're starting to build chapters in existing organizations that say, I want to further this cause. And so it's not about a central organization. It's about giving the community what they need to effectively impact their relationships. And so the U.S. Attorney called us and said, we've got 40 attorneys trained to do anti-hate training, but we've got no way to get it into the community. Can you help us? And we said, that's awesome. We can absolutely do that. And so we had to switch. We had to help them get their training in a little bit more digestible form. You know, attorneys, you know. And their presentation lasted an hour and a half, so you can imagine an hour and a half of listening to an attorney of the law. And so we said, well, if we can get you to do kind of 2.5-minute videos, that'd be good. Yeah. So they said, okay, we got to run it up the chain. So they took it all the way to the Department of Justice. They said, okay. So anyhow, that's on the app. That's what you can listen to. And there are other types of training as to, okay, how do I go into Thanksgiving conversations this year? Because I got people in my family are just nuts. And they think I'm nuts. And so how do I negotiate that? There's that kind of coaching available as well. How do you have a normal conversation with people who are very different than you are? And so that's kind of where we are right now. Let me see if there's anything else I need to do. But we will respond to you. And go to the next slide, would you please? Yeah, there's the Central Florida app. See, that's what I was talking about. And that is Pledge Central. There's the first two words, Pledge Central app. Just download that and you're good to go. And our capabilities of instant mobilization allow users to report hate crimes, become support groups for those in need, and more. Okay, go to the next slide. That's if you're if you're really in the know, you can scan that. If you're more like me, you can copy it down the website and do it later until you get the Central Florida app. Okay, one more. I think you got after this. Okay, never mind. No, you don't. If you want to contact me personally, is my information up there? Did we not? Okay, I think it's on the cards. I've got personal cards here, but it's Dr. Joel C. Hunter at centralfloridapledge.com. So I'm available to you for any questions, or if you want me to come to your group and speak, or we can send somebody. But our main thing is right now, we want to do two things. We want to expand the network, and if you go on the site, you will see the endorsements page is like the who's who of leadership in Central Florida, from every sector. But there's also a link to everyone who's signed on, so that you can see, is my name up there? Did I get connected? And they can see you, because you are a very important part of the effort. And so we want to expand this, because if we know anything about changing the culture, we know two things. First of all, nothing changes until you change it at the grassroots level. You can have speakers, you can have people who believe, but bottom line, if we want a better community, we got to go to the community. And that is, what does neighbor say about neighbor? Who's involved, who's committed as far as their own particular relationships. And the second thing we know is this: it takes time. This isn't going to change in an instant. Those of us who have lived long enough know that change only comes over a long period of time, and sometimes things get better. No. All the people change incrementally. Cultures change incrementally. I've been a part of the civil rights movement for 55 years, and it's still, we got a long way to go here. But we're farther along than when we started. And it just takes people who are consistent about loving and including. So that's my gig. That's all I know. Did I forget anything, honey? Yeah. Becky is my prefrontal cortex. I'm practically all amygdala. Thank you. I still can't say it. See, my prefrontal cortex isn't working. So anyhow, questions, comments? Do you do that? Can you do that? Yes. Yeah. Any kind of response I can give. There we go. You got some. Amygdala.
Okay, I just wanted to ask for these trainings, what type of people are doing these trainings? I don't want to name any names, but you have some people who do, like if it's like racial sensitivity training or something like that, instead of saying, you know, we're all in this world together and we have to learn to live with each other, they just yell at them like, be less white or some crazy thing like that. So
if you go on the site, after every named form of discrimination, we have links to training who that group recommended.
Okay.
And so it's not merely attorney training about anti-hate, but if you go on the site, you will see recommended resources of training, and we can add links as we go along if you know good trainings.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
I just want to know, so how are different houses of worship getting involved in this? What can we do as an organization? Could we be like a host for face-to-face trainings?
Yes.
What could we do?
Yes, here's, especially pertaining to the houses of worship, we have right now 120 faith leaders signed on to this thing of every faith and no faith. And we get together, Dr. Swanson, you saw Archbishop Wiggins at the end of this, of the video here, but Dr. Swanson and he in the first meeting stood up and said, I don't want to just sign on to a statement. Unless we build relationships with one another, we're not really going to accomplish this. So at least once a quarter, faith leaders get together. And we sit around tables, we get to know each other, we discuss something together. We say, how does your faith tradition, for example, this last one, since we're in election season, we said, and it's a safe room, nothing goes beyond the room, but how does your faith tradition address the public square and getting involved, and what is your approach as a congregation to being involved in this kind of election cycle? So anyhow, what we are initiating here is that some of the groups are getting together, but for faith organizations, we're doing that quarterly on a regular basis. And if you have somebody to put on that list and be invited, we would love that. And you could host it if you like.
Anytime I've ever talked to or even thought about this kind of issue, what comes to mind is how the people who want to spread the hate try to get the various groups that they hate to hate each other.
Yes.
A kind of divide and conquer thing. And I wonder if any of your training addresses this.
Absolutely. Yeah. The training is all about treating each other with respect and being very alert. Part of the training is becoming aware of what is going on inside of you. We do a lot of work with the Peace and Justice Institute. We do, and other groups that really do this better than we do. Ours is more behavior oriented and group oriented. But part of that training is personally oriented. And the kind of gaslighting and manipulation that you're drawn into, out of particular algorithms, so that you are fearing anybody who's not like you, and you are congregating with people who are just like you. So yes, that's a very important, and part of this is training ourselves to state things in a way that other people would state them if they were talking about this. I remember, I don't mean to name drop here, but I was President Obama's spiritual advisor for 8 years. And I remember conversations with him. And of course, I'm an old evangelical, so we just knee-jerk spout scripture. That's what we do. It's a bad habit we're trying to quit. But so anyhow, we were talking about, I can't remember what the issue was one day, and I quoted scripture. And he said, absolutely, I believe that, but until you can put that in the language that everybody would use to say, well, I've got the same idea. That's my value too. We can't really use it. And so you've got to be alert to putting things in the kind of context or the kind of language that is generally useful and not just particularly pushing your own group's agenda forward. And so that's another kind of, again, long-term training that we want to institute.
I want to say thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Wonderful mission. Can you help us visualize what you do? For example, if there's a hate group out there that, I don't know, is maybe having a rally or some other situation going on, when your membership is called to support that group and let them know they're not alone, can you give an example of the kinds of things you do, just to help visualize it?
Absolutely, yeah. So after October 7th, the Jewish community, within Central Florida was tremendously fearful. And there is an annual get-together of Jewish leaders, Jewish guys. And I don't even know what it is. But they said, we can't meet because we're afraid. And I said, and this was after the fact because they were telling me about it. And I said, the next time there is a meeting that you guys want to have and you're afraid of attack, call us up because we'll surround the facility you're meeting in to make sure you know that you have the protection that you need. And it's not just law enforcement. It's not just people who are afraid of guns. It's people who are afraid of, counter demonstrations and attack groups and all of that kind of stuff. So the goal here would be, and here's another thing. In UCF, several of the college presidents signed on to this. UCF college president could not because of the current politics in the state of Indiana about making war on DEI and all of that kind of stuff. So, but the student associations are wonderfully taking leadership in this thing. Hillel, the Jewish student, and the Palestinian Student Association are having these conversations. One of the reasons that I'm not really concerned about destructive campus demonstrations in Central Florida is because at Stetson, at Rollins, at UCF, there are very active student associations that would ordinarily be in conflict, but they're talking with one another because of the Central Florida Pledge. and they're a part of this thing. You saw in the video, you saw Jewish student leaders, you saw Palestinian student leaders, and they're talking with one another rather than fighting each other or demonstrating, counter demonstration, so on and so forth. So it's just a way to not just respond, but to prevent the kind of conflict that unfortunately is becoming more and more normal. And we see it across the country. Absolutely, absolutely. And so my hope is after the election, things might get better, but my common sense says no. The election is not the problem. We're the problem. So
I think we have time for one more comment or question.
I wanted to speak to that very issue. We have this thing that's been called MAGA, right? It's a disparate group of people who are very unhappy and dissatisfied. Are you all thinking proactively about how this pledge movement can be presented to these people so that that divisiveness, that fear, could somehow either be assuaged?
Well, two things. First of all, this group, this network, only addresses Central Florida. That's the only community we can build. We can't solve national or international problems. We are strategizing as to ways we can address particular mentalities and particular reality bubbles, and how we can, through relationships, be constructive and positive and open up communication. And so, as far as that goes in our own community, so we recognize the damaging consequences of narrow and paranoid thinking, and of the arrogance of me first, my group first thinking, no matter where you are on that spectrum. But again, what we're trying to do is build is overcome evil with good. Bottom line, if we can do enough positive in the community, then that will give people an alternative. Right now, there are a lot of people who are really scared on both sides, which is how media gets ratings, which is how you gain a gathering. It's always easier when people are afraid. And so if we can build up some healthy alternatives that where love overcomes fear and love overcomes hate. You can't cast out hate with hate. You can only cast out hate with love, as MLK said. So yes and no. The answer, yeah, I end up with my typical ambivalence. Yes and no. We're trying.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter. I know I don't think I'm the only one here who probably avoids talking to people that were important to me in the past, and not that long ago, that I was much closer to, because I just don't know what to say to them. And I am looking forward to looking into some of that training to help me know what to say to people that I still love. And I know they're good. It's just we need to know how to speak together. So when I read his intro, I skipped a couple of paragraphs. No, but the most important part is married for 52 years to Becky, father of 3 sons, grandfather of 7, great-grandfather of 2. Wow. Wow. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And now it's time to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing music will be For All That Is Our Life, led by Gary. Thank you.
And please stand if you're willing and able. Janet will give us a short intro because I think we know this, sort of. Go ahead. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For all each other serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For your life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
My closing words come from Nelson Mandela. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Amen. May it be so. And thank you.